Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Chambers. I'm your host, Bria Tai, and today we are here with Tristen Hanna, who is the youngest director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. This conversation will be all about leadership, community, and business in the Bahamas. So welcome to the podcast, Tristen, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so why don't we start by you telling us a bit about your background?
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Tristen Hanna. I grew up in the Bahamas. My last name is Hanna, so my family originated from Auckland, but I grew up in Nassau Village. Early education, I went to Sadie Curtis Primary School, and I did track and field there. So from there, I eventually got a scholarship to attend Queen's College, and I graduated from Queen's College in 2019. It was at Queen's College where I actually developed some of my leadership skills, as Queen's College is a leadership school. So most of the principles that they instilled in us were leadership tactics, and which was very helpful for when I graduated and went to South Dakota State University. And at South Dakota State, I studied marketing and communications. And I was in South Dakota State around my last year, where I founded my first company, which is called SafePoint.
Wow, so in doing some research about you, I saw that you are also a track star. Could you tell us a bit about your history of doing some track?
I'm a former track star.
Okay.
I have definitely hung up the spikes. Track and field definitely plays a big role in my life. The principles that I learned from track and field, I was able to transfer them into life. And I did pretty good. I was decent. I wasn't good enough to go pro or win an Olympic gold medal, of course. And I think being realistic in my last year in college was very important, because I could have either stick with track and field, which wasn't necessarily going in the proper direction, or I can start making my exit plan to come back to the Bahamas. And that's what I did. But track and field was very fun. I represented the Bahamas internationally, got CARIFTA medals, BAISS medals, and so it was very fun.
Could you tell our listeners what the overall mission of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce is and how you got involved with the chamber? Yeah,
so right out of college, I came home, I started my company, SafePoint, which had 10 solar lights, and about 15 doorbell cameras. And I remember I posted my first advertisement on Facebook, and this number called. Obviously it was a customer, and it was the CEO, the newly appointed CEO, Dr. Leo Roll. And I didn't necessarily know who he was, and he said, meet me at the chamber. And I went to the chamber, and he said, we're doing some construction on the building. We want to do solar lights to sort of lower the cost for the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. I said, okay. So these are I told him the specs of the lights. And that day I became a member of the chamber. And I also did the lights around the chamber as well. And I did my first trade mission. I didn't even really know what a trade mission was, because I didn't even really know what the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce was. And you just asked me, what is the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce? The Bahamas Chamber of Commerce is the body in the Bahamas that fights for businesses and advocate for businesses. And so we serve as the voice of the business community. So businesses that may have problems or may need guidance, that's what we're here for. We're the voice for your company.
That's amazing. How long have you been involved in the chambers for now?
So it's approaching 2 years in the chamber. And like I said, that first trade mission was what really did it for me. Because you can be a member of the chamber and just be a member. However, being involved is always better.
Right.
We did that first trade mission to London, where we went to a Commonwealth meeting at the Mansion House, and there were 5 chamber members on that trip, and 4 of us applied to be on the board, and all 4 of us got on. So that was a special trip. I learned a lot on that trip as well.
Wow. What was your initial reaction to being appointed as a director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce?
That night, well, I was already the youngest member in the chamber at the time.
Okay.
And that was sort of the title that people knew me for, being the youngest member. However, I'd already have a sense of responsibility in life, just in general. And when they called my name, as one of the directors that won in the election, I quickly realized the first thought that came to my mind was, Tristen, the game has changed. And I felt a higher sense of responsibility, not just for my company, and I may be doing it for my family. It's not about that anymore. It's now about the youth. It's now about duplicating yourself in other people and in other Bahamians, and advocating for others to have a seat at the table as well.
How would you say the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce impacts communities in the Bahamas?
It definitely does. It's more of a trickle effect when it comes to communities. The mission of the chamber, like I said, is to help businesses. That trickles down to the community, because once businesses are doing great, the economy is now doing great. Once the economy is doing great, communities are benefiting from it. So once the economy is doing great, there are more job opportunities. When there's more job opportunities, crime lowers, the community gets safer. And so it's a whole lot of things. However, I would say creating jobs is number one.
Right. What are some of the challenges that business owners in the Bahamas face?
There are so many. I think the number one issue, though, is the overhead, is overhead expenses. A lot of which stem from inflation. And another one, too, is a lot of business owners that we discovered in the chamber have no guidance. So they're going on their journey alone, which is why when some of them join the chamber, we're very happy. As a matter of fact, the conversation that we had about them joining the chamber was for them to receive guidance that they needed. And most of the things that we were able to help them with causes their business and revenue to go up.
What are some habits and skills that you've developed that have helped you through your career?
So in college, was very lonely. South Dakota State is very far from the Bahamas. There are not many Bahamians there. I had a lot of time to think. I would say, besides spending time alone and thinking about what you want to do, the ability to forget is a habit that I would suggest a lot of people take on. When I say the ability to forget, the greatest enemy to any young person's success is their last success. And so when you accomplish these things, when you think about it, by spending time alone and you figure out what you want to do, you will take your first steps. Among taking your first steps, you will see some sort of success. Now, your ability to move on from that success will determine your next success and how fast it happens. So the ability to take it on, wear that success, and then forget it, not forget it fully, but temporarily downplay it in order to make room for your new success. That is number one. That's the biggest habit I've trained myself to imply every day.
What's your favorite part about working with the Chamber of Commerce?
Doing things like this. I get to do media interviews. I get to interact with people my age. I get to take on the very questions that I once had, and I get to answer it for other youth. More things I like to do is I like to go on trade missions abroad and sort of fight for the Bahamas in another country. That's actually my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Not only do you get to experience the culture of other countries, but you're now strengthening the relationship between your country and another country.
Right.
That's to me, that's bigger than anything.
Could you describe to our viewers what a trade mission is?
Yes, so a trade mission is normally where two or more organizations come together for the greater good of trade in terms of the back and forth of goods and services. Sometimes that can be between business and business, or it can be between a country and a country. It's on a much larger scale. Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give to our viewers or anybody listening who is interested in stepping into a leadership position or interested in becoming an entrepreneur?
I would say to them, develop curiosity. You have to develop curiosity, because if you have no questions, or if all your questions are asked, if all your questions are answered, rather, then that's where your peak is. That's where your peak is at. If you have no more questions, then there are no more answers. And that means you're not actively elevating. So that's actually step number 2. Step number 1 is to just step out. Just step out and actually do it. Discover what you want to do. Step out boldly. Don't take a light step. If you're going to do it, then do it. Go straight into it. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So I know you are the youngest director at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce. What are some of the duties that come with being a director?
Right. So when we are elected at the chamber, we are just listed as director, right? And there are a few of us. However, we are appointed to various positions in the chamber.
Okay.
So it makes our job a little more direct to what we need to do. And my focus is membership and the overall growth of the chamber. And the ways I can necessarily grow the membership of the chamber and keep it relevant is by making appearances publicly, doing seminars, sitting on panels, doing interviews here at the great inside the chamber, things like that. So it's keeping the chamber relevant. That's really the duty. But on the back end, my greater duty is to fight for businesses and to be an advocate for the business community.
If there's one piece of information you could leave with our listeners and viewers, what would that be?
I would say definitely have God in your plan. Without God in your plan, things are going to go haywire, left, right. And not that that's unusual, because on the road to success, you will deter. You will have problems. You will face problems. However, you do need something to go back to and realign. And I would say definitely just put God in your plan and stay focused. And like I said earlier, go at it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Inside the Chambers. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and comment, and stay tuned for more videos soon.